On this episode of Weather Watch, we take a trip to the NWS in Sterling, Virginia. Then, we find out which hurricane made it to the top of our list. Finally, we catch up with the Mythbreakers. All that and more on this episode of Weather Watch. Hello, and welcome to Weather Watch, Millersville University's exclusive weather news program. I'm your host, Megan Nielsen. To get us started off, let's take a look at the weather that has impacted the globe over the past few weeks in your weather in 60 seconds. Flooding in Italy, heavy rain in Cuba, and snow and ice in the southwestern part of the United States are all a part of this edition of Your Weather in 60 Seconds. The Mediterranean island of Sardinia, known for its white sand beaches and crystal clear seas, was flooded after a torrential rainstorm, killing at least 17 people, downed bridges, and swept away cars. The island received more than 17 inches of rain in 24 hours, which is half the amount it normally receives in a year. Other parts of Italy were also hit by heavy rains, including the capital, Rome, and Venice. Heading over to Cuba, where heavy rains devastated the nation for over 24 hours. Cars were stranded as intersections were flooded and streets turned into rushing rivers in the Havana region. A total of 7.8 inches accumulated in a matter of hours, killing 2 people. Finally, taking a look at the southwest part of the United States, where winter came early, killing 8 as it swept through California, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas. A foot of snow fell for many of these areas and were the cause of over 100 accidents due to slick and hazardous road conditions. And that will do it for this edition of Your Weather in 60 Seconds. The National Weather Service is a well-known forecasting company set up all across the country. Their new goal is to make forecasts impact your day-to-day life in many different aspects. Weather Watch's own Rachel Coulter sat down with the company to find out more on what the future holds for the National Weather Service.
What started off as an incident meteorologist position for large-scale fires has turned into a new direction altogether for the National Weather Service. We've always known the NWS to be an accurate and timely weather forecasting operation, but what we didn't know is that over the past few years, they've been shifting from the average weather forecast into an impact-based forecast. Weather Watch had the opportunity to interview 2 out of the 3 emergency response specialists here at the Sterling, Virginia location, where we could take a look at the new direction. The involvement of meteorologists in large-scale fires began when 80% of Yellowstone National Park was consumed by forest fires back in 1993. From that year on, any fire that grew large enough to require an incident management team also required a meteorologist on site, because the National Weather Service realized how important weather conditions were to fire behavior.
The meteorologist sits side by side with the fire behavior analyst to determine where and when resources need to be deployed to help control forest fires.
This was the beginning of fire weather and the incident meteorologist. Incident meteorologists and wildland firefighter trained meteorologists are depended on for their quick and accurate reports so that decisions can be made. Communication between emergency responders and incident meteorologists is key, and because of the success of this system, the National Weather Service has looked to it as a guide for a whole new way of running their operations.
We need to find out how they use our products, whether or not our products are working for them. How do they make decisions? When do they deploy resources? What is it that keeps them up at night? Maybe we need to dig a little bit deeper than just issuing probabilistic forecasts.
Decision-making and strong leadership were 2 qualities sought out by the National Weather Service when they began their pilot project.
We were going to take the principles we had been practicing in fire weather for years and expand them, not just for fires, but we were going to do hurricanes, tornadoes, winter storms, ice storms, floods. Pick your hazard, that's what the incident meteorologist was going to be involved in. And these positions were going to be called emergency response specialists.
Along with Steve Goldstein, we had the opportunity to talk to Ken Wydowski to hear more about the emergency response specialist and what the result has been already of such a different-minded position.
We've established great partnerships with emergency managers by doing regular site visits. And then when there's a big weather event, they come to us for critical information. Some people have to make decisions 7-10 days out, so they're looking to us now to provide them with confidence factors.
The 3 emergency response specialists at the Sterling office had the opportunity to deploy to major events to aid in emergency management. They also led discussions on probabilistic forecasts in a way the National Weather Service has never done before. This pilot project is all about the detailed forecast so that prompt decisions can be made. And though the emergency response specialist does deal with government officials and emergency managers, the National Weather Service's goal is to implement these strategies in their day-to-day forecast as well, as we have already begun to see.
So the direction the National Weather Service is going is from providing weather forecasts to impact-based forecasts. We are transitioning towards partnering with our emergency managers and issuing an impact-based forecast. We will give them the weather, they will give us the impact, and combined as partners, we will issue the product to the public.
When asked about the future of probabilistic forecasting, Ken Wydowski told us what we can be looking out for in the next year.
We have rolled out the winter stuff now. We have to test it. We have to get feedback to see what worked and what didn't, make adjustments. Once that's final, we'll move on to the convective aspect of it.
This new way of forecasting puts the National Weather Service in the decision-making process instead of just passing the information along. Through the course of the pilot project, the National Weather Service has seen a growth in communication with emergency management teams that will allow for a forecast that keeps your safety and schedule in mind. Steve Goldstein wraps us up with what the future holds for the National Weather Service.
Well, we're documenting the successes of our pilot project. So upon documenting these successes, we will then train the other forecast offices all throughout the country to provide their forecast information in the same way, with a concentration on the shorter-term forecast, the expression of uncertainty, the expression of our confidence level, and the improved communication. This is the way that the National Weather Service is going to do business from here on in, so we are really pioneers of sorts.
The pilot project started by the National Weather Service has the goal of impacting your day-to-day life. For more information on this pilot project or in the National Weather Service in general, check out the website below. Reporting for Weather Watch, I'm student meteorologist Rachel Coulter.
Thanks, Rachel. This season, we've been counting down the top 5 hurricanes in the United States, and we finally reached our #1 storm. Rosa Brothman has more in the Weather Watch Top 5.
Welcome back to Weather Watch's Top 5. We will now reveal our top hurricane to occur in the United States and on our list. This hurricane was responsible for just under 2,000 fatalities and $108 billion in damages. At #1 on our countdown, we have Hurricane Katrina. On August 23, 2005, Hurricane Katrina formed over the Bahamas and made her first landfall over southern Florida as a Category 1 hurricane. She then moved into the unusually warm Gulf of Mexico, where she strengthened immensely and headed towards Louisiana. She became a Category 5 hurricane but weakened to a Category 3 prior to her second landfall. On August 28th, Katrina reached her peak strength of 175 mile-per-hour winds with a minimum pressure of 902 millibars. Hurricane Katrina's damage in Florida was minimal in comparison to her second landfall. However, she still produced a significant amount of heavy rain, a storm surge of 3 to 5 feet, and a tornado, all causing over $5 million in damages. 2 days prior to Katrina's second landfall, the President of the United States declared a state of emergency in Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. About 1.2 million residents in these areas were under a mandatory or voluntary evacuation order. Models depicted New Orleans to be in the direct path of Katrina. This was an issue because most of New Orleans and the metro area are below sea level. It was a strong possibility that this storm surge could defeat the levees that protected the city. On Monday, August 29th, Katrina made her second landfall as a Category 3 hurricane with sustained winds of 125 miles per hour near Burroughs Triumph, Louisiana. In New Orleans, she developed a storm surge strong enough to destroy 53 levees in the greater New Orleans. submerging about 80% of the city, leaving 3 million people without electricity. The Superdome, which sheltered many citizens, even experienced damage. The roof had essentially been peeled off. Most survivors reported seeing the deceased lying in the water. Louisiana experienced heavy rain totaling 8 to 10 inches, which caused Lake Pontchartrain to rise and cause devastating flooding. Bridges were destroyed and all parishes surrounding the lake were severely affected by Katrina. As Katrina moved up the coast, she began to weaken. She still managed to bring strong winds and a heavy rainfall to the eastern United States. In total, 62 tornadoes were a result of Katrina through 8 different states. Hurricane Katrina was named the costliest natural disaster and one of the 5 deadliest hurricanes in the United States history. Reporting for Weather Watch, I'm student meteorologist Rosa Brothman.
Thanks, Rosa. Let's travel back in time and show the beginnings of meteorology while tying it to the present and the future. Melly Reagan has all the details in the Blast from the Past, the history of meteorology. Their mission: to provide weather, water, and climate data, forecasts, and warnings for the protection of life and property and enhancement of the national economy. This is the National Weather Service. At over 140 years old, the agency is deeply embedded in the history of the United States. The NWS was started in the Department of War in 1870 as the Division of Telegrams and Reports for the Benefit of Commerce. Then, in 1890, it was transferred over to the Department of Agriculture as a civilian agency and was renamed the United States Weather Bureau. Over the next few years, the Weather Bureau became responsible for issuing flood warnings to the public and forecasts for agricultural planning. An aerological section was also established in order to meet the growing needs of aviation. In 1940, the Weather Bureau transferred departments again and was incorporated into the Environmental Science Services Administration in 1965. A few years later, the ESSA and the NWS were renamed the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the National Weather Service, respectively. In 1989, they announced a nationwide plan to modernize operations. These updates included the Automated Surface Observing System, which replaced manual weather observations, next-generation weather radar, new satellites for improved data, a more advanced computer system, and the Advanced Weather Interactive Processing System, which concluded the modernization project in 2000. Since then, the National Weather Service has continued to grow and develop. Currently, their major goal for the future is to create a more weather-ready nation. For Weather Watch, I'm student meteorologist Melanie Reagan. Thanks, Melanie. Well, they're at it again. The Mythbreakers are back on the case to help people make the right decisions when it comes to common weather myths. Let's catch up with them to see what myth they'll be debunking this time.
When the lines between weather, fact, and fiction are blurred, we call in the experts, the Mythbreakers.
What? Why are you stopping?
I'm pretty sure it's gonna snow today.
No way! It's too cold for that to happen.
Yeah, haven't you ever heard that it can't snow when it's too cold? Whatever, but I still think it's gonna snow.
Yo, get out the way.
Yeah, where did you guys come from anyway?
Yeah.
Did we hear one of you say that it's too cold to snow?
Yeah, because it is.
You're incorrect with saying that it's too cold to snow. You don't actually understand what's happening in the atmosphere.
Excuse me, but I know the weather. When it's freezing temperatures out like today, it's impossible for snow to develop.
Sorry, man, but your facts aren't right. The reason why you think that isn't because it's too cold to snow. It's just because the atmosphere is too dynamically stable.
Exactly. When the atmosphere has low-level cold air convection, a lack of upper air divergence, or a lack of cold air convergence, these conditions are set, and that is why when we're in freezing temperatures, it may not snow.
So basically it can snow like I said?
Yes, it could if clouds start to develop and moisture starts to build in the atmosphere.
So if it does, it'll be a drier, more powdery snow.
Guys, look, it's snowing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, whoa. Snow.
Nice.
So remember, it's never too cold to snow, just too dynamically stable.
You guys never said who you were.
Where'd they go? They just disappeared.
Work today was so rough. I'm so glad I'm home. How was your day?
Not too bad.
What are you up to?
Making cookies for the bake sale.
Nice.
Hey babe, I'm out of vanilla. How am I supposed to bake cookies without vanilla?
Relax, I'll run in the store and get some.
Thank you, babe. Now get a jacket on. It's freezing out there. You'll catch a cold.
I won't get sick. I'll be fine.
You better get that jacket on.
Who are you?
Excuse me, can we help you?
No, but we can help you.
You said that he would get sick going outside in these freezing conditions without a jacket on.
Your misconception is as annoying and incessant as the common cold.
He will. Everyone gets sick when they're out in the cold without a jacket.
Wrong. The cold has nothing to do with getting sick.
The only way that you can get sick is by touching or coming in contact with a bacteria or a virus.
See, babe, I told you. I'll be fine. I don't need my jacket. I'm not gonna get sick.
I guess. Now go get me the vanilla for the cookies.
Where'd they go?
I guess we'll never know.
When people are misinformed about the weather, we show up.
We're the Mythbreakers.
Our atmosphere behaves in strange and unexplained ways. Alex Engard has more on this edition of Weather Mysteries.
Lightning. Powerful, bright, dangerous. But have you ever witnessed a green lightning strike? Lightning occurs when rain droplets knock the electrons to the lower part of a cloud, causing them to rub together to create friction. When the electrons cannot hold any more of the electric energy, they shoot out a large illuminated stream that we all know as lightning. But what happens when a green bolt of lightning appears? Scientists have been trying to decipher this occurrence for years, and some are still not entirely sure on what happens. Arthur Few, a scientist of Rice University in Houston, has the most recognized hypothesis. He has discovered that the green glow that happens when lightning strikes is due to electrically excited charged oxygen atoms that reflect light, which causes a hue of color. This reaction is also what gives the northern lights its vibrant colors that light up the sky. So next time there's a lightning storm, stare up at the sky and see if you can spot a green bolt of lightning. Reporting for Weather Watch, I'm student meteorologist Alex Engard.
Thanks, Alex. Well, that does it for this episode and season of Weather Watch. Please be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at the links shown below. On behalf of the cast and crew of Weather Watch, I'm Megan Nielsen, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next season.